Here are 8 bikes you need to have in GTA Online, whether you want pure speed, off-road power, or just something that looks insane cruising through Los Santos. This list covers the best bikes you can earn right now. I will also include some honourable mentions at the end. First up, I want to start with one of the cheaper options, but still a very reliable bike. This will be a great starter choice. It will of course be the Batty 801. This thing will cost you guys $15,000, so already compared to really any vehicle across GTA Online, it is by far one of the cheapest. I also think the Batty 801 looks incredible. It has some great acceleration, a very respectable top speed, and is surprisingly really useful for pulling different stunts and even completing the standard time trials. The Batty 801 can also have the missile lock-on jammer if you have an agency, and I would say this is probably essential if you play in public sessions. And altogether for this price point, and in terms of performance what you get out of the Batty 801, I genuinely do think this is probably one of the best options even to this day in GTA Online. The second bike that is well worth your time and trying to get is the Mentions Scout over on the Warstock website. This is probably one of the best off-road bikes that you can actually pick up. It feels incredibly controllable, especially very useful for going up Mount Chiliad and even completing the Chiliad time trials. And at least in my opinion, I do think that out of all of the bikes across the entire game, this is my go-to option for off-road things. This one is just a little bit more on the pricier side, but still relatively cheap all things considered. It will also have the missile lock-on jammer available, so another really nice benefit. There is only really 2 downsides that I can think of with the standard Mentions Scout. The first one being its overall top speed. It is not insanely fast, if anything it is just reliable. And the second downside will probably be its control. It does not feel as snappy as you would probably expect, but this type of bike will not need that really responsive feel, and it will still handle absolutely fine. Next up we have a sort of free bike. It will be the one that is tied to the Acid Lab, so once you guys complete all of the first dose missions for the Freak Shop and Dax, you'll then get access to the Acid Lab, in turn allowing you to have the Mentions Scout C. So we already have covered the standard Mentions Scout, and if you guys don't like the way this one handled, the Mentions Scout C is definitely the better option in terms of handling. They are both still extremely similar, and probably the main reason I prefer the Mentions Scout C really is because of this handling. If you have a full setup Acid Lab and you have done some of these cell missions, you get the chance to use this vehicle every single time. You can also fully upgrade it inside the Freak Shop. Pulling a wheelie on the Scout C just makes things so much better. A surprisingly really reliable bike, and the best way to describe this is essentially it is just a lighter Mentions Scout. It does not feel as heavy to drive, so if you own the Acid Lab and have not upgraded this, I would definitely get on that as soon as you can. Another really nice feature of the Mentions Scout C tied with the Acid Lab is that you can call this from the Acid Lab, very similar to the Oppressor Mark II with the Terabyte, and I think this is a really nice advantage because you will not have to register as an MC president, so you will not have to risk the chance of your businesses getting raided, and you can essentially call this bike wherever you want. For the fourth bike we do have the Power Surge. As the name implies, this will be a fully electric bike, which means straight off the mark it will get this acceleration boost, reaching its top speed extremely fast. As with many electric vehicles, some people love them, some people hate them, but having access to that extreme acceleration is honestly a huge benefit, especially when driving through the city. When you slow down to go around corners, this is where it comes in very useful. The Power Surge is a great bike to wheelie, making it one of the better bikes to hit different stunts and potentially access different areas you could not typically get to. Unfortunately, the Power Surge's price is more on the expensive side in terms of bikes, and one thing that really lets it down in my opinion will be how stiff it feels to drive. I don't know why, but most electric vehicles do suffer from this. Even some of the electric cars do feel quite unstable, barring maybe 1 or 2. Still a really unique driving experience. For one of the best standard bikes that we currently have in GTA Online, we do have the Reaver. This thing can pick up some insane top speeds, especially when you pull a wheelie, and apparently it can still beat some of the HSW cars, having the potential to go well over 150 miles per hour. Because you will have to pull a wheelie to achieve these top speeds, it is not really consistent. However, when driving the Reaver on a long straight, it can outrun almost anything. And when you are pulling a wheelie on the Reaver, it almost feels like it's glitching out. Maybe you can see this in the gameplay as well, and if you already have the Reaver and have done this, hopefully you will understand what I mean. It does require some skill to control this, but the reward of driving the Reaver is really evident, and if you do get used to the Reaver, the standard time trials will become extremely easy. It will have access to the missile lock-on jammer, however it will cost just a little bit more than the the power surge. Overall, I do think it is just a little bit better as well. A great bike if you want to show off, or even just race against friends who have HSW cars. Now for one of the most expensive bikes in GTA Online history, we just have to go with the Shatara. First of all, this thing looks incredible. I still remember way back in the day when Rockstar released this, and so many people just wanted to get their hands on it just because of how it looked. But not only does the Shatara look incredibly nice, it quite easily has some of the best grip and traction. If you have never used the Shatara, I think you will be genuinely surprised at just how good this is, and because of this top speed and traction alone, I do think the price is definitely justified. You are really paying for one of the best bikes in the game. And on top of this, it will of course have access to the missile lock-on jammer, making it just a little bit more viable in public sessions. If you play any bike races that include a lot of heavy corners, this bike will probably be your best choice. It's still not the fastest bike, however the top speed is still very respectable, still one of the smoothest and most stylish rides ever made. After the Shatara, we just have to mention the Hakuchu Drag, currently probably the best overall bike. It does not feel as responsive as the Shatara, but of course this is the only bike in the game currently that can have the HSW upgrades. And if you do have access to this, the Hakuchu Drag becomes easily the best bike for racing, time trials, and in general just driving around the city. The acceleration of this bike, paired with arguably some of the best brakes, even with the slower response when turning, means that you can still handle some of the tightest corners, and even without the HSW upgrades, it is still a really respectable bike. And for this price tag, I do think it is probably one of the best investments. The missile lock-on jammer is once again available, so if you guys do have access to the HSW upgrades and do not have the Hakuchu Drag, honestly I would definitely recommend it. For the last bike that I just have to mention as well, this will be the Death Bike. Before all of the HSW upgrades, and even the missile lock-on jammer and the Mani Tech, the Death Bike was probably one of the meta choices, and it really comes down to all of its different upgrade options. It can be fitted with a boost feature, which is surprisingly quite good. It can also have a jump feature as well, so pulling stunts with the Death Bike is surprisingly really good, and definitely the best feature overall of the Death Bike will be its insane customization options. With it being an arena war vehicle, you can make the Death Bike look incredible, and having access to that boost feature alongside pulling a wheelie like you typically would when trying to drive a bike fast, the Death Bike can really hit some insane top speeds. For the upgrade cost and the overall Death Bike, I don't exactly know if it is worthwhile. If anything, I would only purchase this bike if you genuinely like the look of it, or you just want a different driving experience with the jump boost, just something to mess around with. And finally, at this point, we of course have our honourable mentions. The first honourable mention just has to be here. I did not want to include this one in the entire list because I do know how people feel about these vehicles specifically, but we just have to include the Oppressor Mark 1. I would also include the Oppressor Mark 2, however, it is not essentially a bike. It does not have two wheels, and it does not really touch the ground. So for the Oppressor Mark 1, in terms of mobility and just getting around the map, this will be the best bike. Definitely one of the most fun vehicles to use, and it is a lot more balanced than the Oppressor Mark 2. It is also really nice to switch between both of these things. I know that the majority of players will already have the Oppressor Mark 2, but if you do get the Oppressor Mark 1 and really get used to it, it can definitely be a lot better and potentially even save you guys time when traveling across the map. And the final honorable mention will just have to be the Sanctus. This will be the Halloween themed bike with the skull on the front. I think the main reason to get this is just how it looks. The overall performance of the Sanctus is really not that good, but it is still surprisingly quite fast. And because this is just a limited time Halloween bike, at the time of this video going live, you will actually be able to buy this right now. On my Xbox account, I bought 2 of these things because I really just love this bike. And maybe you guys feel the same way as me, love how this thing looks. I also never really minded how this vehicle handled. It was able to pick up a solid top speed, but where it really got let down is its handling, and it would skid out quite often. So that will be 8 bikes that you need to have in GTA Online. What do you guys think about this list? Is there any bikes that I missed? For example, the Akuma. That used to be one of my favorite bikes all the way back in GTA Online's early days. Another really nice bike would be the Sanchez. Pretty much a staple in GTA Online now, and overall just GTA in general. But yeah, I'm really intrigued to hear what you guys think. Is there a bike that I missed? And what is your overall favourite bike in GTA Online? But yeah guys, if you went on to enjoy this video or found it useful in any way, shape or form, make sure to leave a like. I always do appreciate your support. And if you are new to the channel and like what you see, subscribe and hit that bell icon to never miss a video. Finally guys, stay safe, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.